Greetings to all the students. I welcome you all on the YouTube platform of NEXT IAS, and you are watching Daily News Analysis, where we discuss all the important articles published in the PIBs, AIR and newspapers. We already have discussed what specifically to read with our another initiative, What to Read. Kindly follow that to understand what exactly to read from the newspapers. Now, with the help of today's this DNA video, the topics that we are going to cover are Ramsar Convention, RTI Act, fall of Rupee and extended precedent rule in the Manipur. And in the decoded section, we are going to cover Kamchatka Quake, that is the earthquake part, disaster management paper 3. Now, let's start with the first topic which is visible over your screen, which is the Ramsar Convention. Now, this topic is related with the GS paper 3 environment, and why this topic is of importance, because recently India's resolution to the Ramsar contracting parties on promoting sustainable lifestyles for wise use of wetlands adopted at Ramsar COP15 in Zimbabwe. Now, what is it exactly about the news aspect? So, it is the 50th Ramsar Conference on Parties in Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. India introduced a resolution on promoting sustainable lifestyle for the wise use of wetlands, which was formally adopted in July 2025. The resolution highlights the role of individual societal choices in the wetland conservation and encouraging a pro-planet lifestyle tailored to the national context. Third, the resolution marks a key step forward for the whole of the society approach for effective wetlands conservation. Now, what exactly the Ramsar Convention on the wetlands? So, the Ramsar Convention is an intergovernmental treaty for the conservation and wise use of wetlands. It provides a framework for national and international action to protect wetlands and their resources. Third, the term wetlands, if you say, it covers natural and man-made ecosystems including lakes, rivers, aquifers, marshes, mangroves, coral reefs, rice field, reservoir and the salt plants as well. A little bit of historical aspect. Actually, Ramsar is a town in Iran and it was adopted in the February 1971. That is why this convention has been named as Ramsar Convention. It entered into force on December 201, 1975. Currently, it has 172 contracting parties and it has evolved to focus not just on the biodiversity but also on the sustainable development and the climate resilience. Now, the objectives of this convention. The first objective is to protect, restore and manage wetlands to maintain their ecological character at its own way. Second, promote international cooperation, especially for the transboundary wetlands. That means two different nations sharing the same wetlands has to work in tandem. Contribute to biodiversity conservation, particularly for waterfowl and aquatic species. Fourth one, support climate regulations through carbon storage, flood control and water cycle management in a particular country. Fifth is very important, that raise awareness regarding the value and the benefits of the wetlands. Now, there are certain criteria based on which one particular site is being designated as a part of Ramsar site. So, what are those? First one is it contains rare and unique example of natural wetland types. Second, it provides habitat for endangered species or threatened ecological communities. Third, contributes to biodiversity conservation in a specific biographic zone. Fourth, acts as a refuge for species during critical life stages or harsh conditions. Fourth, it regularly supports over 20,000 water birds. Next, it holds at least 1% of the population of a specific water bird species. Next, function as an essential site for fish breeding, nursery and the migration. And the last one will be that it supports 1% of the population of non-avian wetland dependent animal species. Now, there is one record which is linked with the Ramsar, which is Montrex record, again very specific with your prelims examination. Have a look at it. It is a list under the Ramsar Convention which highlights wetlands where ecological changes have occurred or likely due to human activities pollution or technological development. It helps identify priority sites for conservation action. Wetlands in India in the Montex record, the first one is Keoladeo and second is Loktak Lake, Manipur. Right? Two are there which is only in the Montreux record. Now, certain key institution mechanisms associated with this thing. First, conference of the parties, or I would say conference of the contracting parties, is a supreme decision making body of the Ramsar Convention, held every 3 years. Right? Most recent COP15 2025 is a Victoria Falls. This is very specific for your prelims understanding and for your prelims based information. Second, standing committee. It acts as an executive body between the COPs, provides guidance on implementation and oversees budget and secretariat, composed of elected members countries for each Ramsar region. Now, the Ramsar sites in India, again very specific prelims based question and for the states exams as well. In India, there are 91 Ramsar sites, right? These are the latest one which are being just added, latest one just added into the Ramsar Convention list of India. For say Kitchen Rajasthan, Menar, Kijapalli Lake, Udwa Lake Bird Sanctuary, Sakara Kothia Bird Sanctuary and Therathangal Bird Sanctuary. So, this kind of information is being asked by UPSC repeatedly in its PYQs. How? Look at it. This is the PYQ over your screen, that only on this matchmaking, right? This matchmaking has been asked by the UPSC as a PYQ part. So, for your practice question, this is the question exactly on the base of UPSC we have designed. Try it. Let us know the answer in the messages. Now, the second topic, RTI, Right to Information Act. Now, why this topic is important now? Because there has been a rollback RTI amendments campaign was launched by press bodies and civil society groups with support of over two dozen media organizations. And this is again a very big thing and UPSC will definitely going to look at it. So, this is the exact part regarding the news that press organization and activist from the National Campaign for People's Right to Information has expressed concerns over amendment to RTI Act through the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023 and its draft rules. The amendment is seen as diluting the right to information, especially the RTI Act 2005, which pertains to personal information exemption. Now, what is this Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023, जिसके बारे में बैठ के लगातार बात चल रही है. Now, it provides a legal framework to protect individuals' personal data and ensure that such data is processed only with their consent. It aims to uphold privacy in the digital era by regulating how digital personal data is collected, stored and used further. Its applicability, it applies to digital personal data processed within India, whether collected online or offline or later digitized. Second, it also applies to data processing outside India if it involves offering goods or services to individuals in India. This is again very UPSC prelims based information. Now, what is right to information? It is a fundamental right of Indian citizen to access information held by public authorities, promoting transparency and accountability in governance. It empowers citizens to seek information on government policies, decisions and records. UPSC has a habit of asking this kind of questions in the prelims regarding that right to information guarantees under which of the article of the fundamental right of the constitution. So, focus a lot on this kind of article. Now, little bit regarding RTI Act 2005. This Act empowers citizens to access information held by the public authorities. It is administered by Department of Personnel and Training under the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievance and Pension. The Act replaced the Freedom of Information Act 2002 to ensure greater transparency and accountability for the citizens and for the governance as well. And the right to information is rooted in international human rights conventions and was upheld as a fundamental right under Article 19 of the Supreme Court in Raj Narayan versus Uttar Pradesh government. This is again very specific prelims based information. So this is the part, right? A little bit of institutional framework, that for at the central level there is a central information commissioner, additional central information commissioner as well. As state there are again state information commissioner, and at the district level there are public information officers at all the public authorities. Now pass amendments, that means RTI Amendment Act 2019. It fixed 5-year term for the CICs and ICs, removed tenure now to be decided by the central government. That means now their tenure is based on the central government. That means they can put them out anytime, even before the time of 5 years. Salaries, the constitution says that the salaries match those with the election commissioner. Now the centers will decide salaries, allowance and service commissions for CICs and ICs. This is two very major things with respect to the RTI Amendment Act 2019. Recent key changes and their implications. First, expansion of refusal. The amendment has broadened the scope of information that can be refused under the RTI, potentially withholding more data from the public, including information on the public officials, right? Second, journalistic concern. The changes do not provide safeguard for the journalists as well. It may compel them to reveal identities of individuals involved in wrongdoing and hamper the investigative reporting aspect. Transparency undermined. How? Critics argue that the amendment represents a major setback to the transparency, limiting the public's access to the crucial information. And last, for say section 43 of the Digital Personal Data Protection Act overrides section 8I section 8(1)J of the RTI Act, disallowing such disclosures even if the public interest is involved. For say the provision, it says the provision that information which cannot be denied to the parliament, state legislature shall not be denied to any person now is omitted. That means now there is a clear-cut distinction between the information that can be given to the parliament and the state legislature and the information that should be given to a particular person as well, right? Now there are various opinions regarding this issue. So one such opinion is representatives met Union IT Secretary H. Sri Krishna, who assured that new law would not obstruct journalistic work. Warning by Justice A.P. Shah, retired, he said this amendment a seismic shift that would weaken India's transparency framework. Why transparency? Because now you are limiting the access regarding the information regarding the public officials as well. Now this is the practice question visible over your screen. Now the third topic, fall of rupee, right? Fall of rupee, why? Because US President Donald Trump announced that they are going to impose 25% of the tariff on Indian goods and the Russian penalty as well upon the India. So it has a negative impact upon the rupee part. Rupee's value got down. That is why this topic is of great concern, right? This about the news part is linked with this part. For say, after the announcement, the Indian rupee depreciated by 61 paisa, closing to $87.42 per part. And this kind of topic is of great importance with respect to the UPSC prelims examination. Now, first is what is rupee depreciation? In general term, we may say that fall in the value of the Indian rupee relative to the foreign currency, especially US dollar. What does that mean? For say earlier the US dollar was $1 was equal to 87 rupee, right? Now the $1 is equal to 87.7 rupee, right? That means the value of the rupee has been declined, or in economic word we may say depreciated. मतलब रुपी की वैल्यू लगातार गिरती जा रही है, right? This is the depreciation. Now the price exchange rate, what is exchange rate? One basic information, the price of one currency expressed in terms of the another. Now the key factors behind the rupee's decline. So the first one will be foreign portfolio investors outflow. FPI sold approximately 60,000 crores worth of Indian equities over the past week. This capital outflow led to the increased demand for the US dollars, exerting downward pressure on the rupee. Second, month end dollar demand for the importers. Matlab, the importers, especially oil companies, ramped up their dollar purchases. When the rupee fell below the level of 86.90, it caused panic among the traders, leading them to quickly buy dollars to cover their easier position. That means they lost their faith in the Indian rupee, Indian currency. That is why, just to fill the gap of their interest or their income, they bought the US dollars. That again led to the scenario. Third, RBI's non-intervention. RBI chose not to intervene in the forex market. Why? Because it maintains that it only intervenes to curb volatility, not to maintain a fixed exchange rate system. Fourth, external pressure. A strong US dollar index globally and rising international crude oil prices added to the rupee's weakness. These factors makes the imports costlier to India and increase the dollar demand in India as well. Fifth, the market caution ahead of US Fed policy. Means the investor remain cautious in the anticipation of US Federal Reserve's policy announcement that may impact global's interest rate and the capital flow towards the US and towards other countries as well. Now, this is the trigger. This is, I would say, the sixth point that has been there. The trigger was that the announcement of the US President Donald Trump regarding the 25% tariff of India, which is effective from 1st of August, right? Although the government of India is saying that we are in terms of conversation with the American people, but still this has already caused the slight depreciation to the rupee itself. Now, the impact of rupee depreciation. So, first we will talk about the positive, then we will talk about the negative. So, positive, it is a boost to export. How? Indian goods becomes cheaper abroad, benefiting sector like IT and the pharmaceuticals, and India's pharmaceuticals has already been expanding a lot. Second, higher remittance. NRIs get more rupees per dollar sent home, right? Remittance, the money which was being sent by the people earning in the USA to his family members living in the India. There is just a very simple, easier understandable thing. Domestic investment support. Export growth can encourage domestic investment as well. Now, there are some other negative impacts as well. What are the negative impacts? These are, for say, items like crude oil become more expensive, widening the trade deficit, right? Which may say the current trade deficit or the current account deficit will be impacted for sure, right? Second, inflation rise. Import dependent industries fear higher production costs and fueling the inflation in the particular arena. Third, capital outflow risk. Weak currency can reduce foreign investment and lead to the capital flight. Other issues, increases the cost of repaying foreign debt, reducing purchasing powers and hurts consumer sentiments. So, this has been the impact of rupee depreciation upon the India. Now, this is a practice question. Practice it and let us know the answer as well. Again, a practice question for the mains people. Practices, and you may come to the next IAS and share the answer with us, right? But you should practice this writing the answer within 11 to 12 minutes at home. Do practice it. Now, the last topic of today's analysis section, which is the explain section. This is precedent rule. We know that the precedent rule has been imposed in the Manipur over a period of time. But now again, the government of India has decided to extend the precedent rule in Manipur. That is why again, first the imposition of the precedent rule. Second, what is the constitutional process to extend the precedent rule? This comes in the picture for the prelims. So, Lok Sabha passed the statutory resolution to extend precedent rules in the Manipur by 6 more months, right? Now, what is the precedent rule? Remember, the precedent rule, also called state emergency or a constitutional emergency, is a mechanism under Article 356 of the Constitution. It allows the central government to take control of the state's administration. Practical scenarios for imposing precedent rule. 4. No leader elected as CM within a given time period, collapse of coalition leading to a loss of majority, no confidence motion causing fall of government, or elections delayed due to war, natural disaster, or pandemic or other thing associated. Now, constitutional provisions involved is first Article 355, which say that this is union's duty to protect states from external aggression and internal disturbance and ensure that governance as per the constitution is taking place. Second, 356, if the president is satisfied based on the governor's report or even otherwise that the state government cannot function constitutionally, the president rules may be imposed against the particular state. Third, Article 365 says that if a state fails to follow union's direction, it shall be lawful for the president to hold a situation as arisen in which the government of the state cannot be carried on with the provisions of the constitution, right? That means they may again ask for the president's rule. Now, there is a provision regarding the parliamentary approval and the duration. For say, the proclamation must be approved by both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha within 2 months. Again, very precise specific information. If the Lok Sabha is dissolved, the rule lasts more than 30 days only after new house is formed, subject to that Rajya Sabha has already been approved it. Third, to impose president rule in a state, a simple majority in the both of the houses is required. If it is passed, right, it can sustain for nearby 6 months initially, and the president at any time revoke the present rules without parliament's approval. Again, very specific information. Now, the extension of the president's rule. What is the procedure of the extension of the president rule in a particular state? For say, it can be extended up to 3 years with parliament's approval every 6 months. First. Second, 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978 says that extension beyond 1 year allowed only if there is a national emergency is in operation and the election commission certifies that elections cannot be held in the state. Only in these two cases the extension of the president rule in a particular state can be ensured. Third, the president rule in a state in India to extend the majority required is simple house or simple majority in both the houses of the parliament. Now, the effects of the president rules. Again, the governor governs the state on behalf of the president. The state council of ministers is dismissed. Legislative powers to go to the parliament. The state legislative assemblies may be suspended or dissolved. Parliament passes the state budget and other laws. The president can issue ordinances when parliament is not in session, and the high court functions normally and remains unaffected. This is a very important aspect, right? So, these are all the impacts of the president rule. Now, this is one of the PYQs, a little bit tricky as well, which was asked by the UPSC in 2017. Do practices, let us know the answer as well. And this is the practice question from our side. Try to practice this and let us know as well. Now, topic of decoded session. This is the Kamchatka Quake, that is the topic of earthquake. Comes in the disaster management, but a part of your geography subject as well. So, earthquake, majorly physical geography part, paper 1. And why did I say disaster management? Because the response, how to deal with the disasters like thing, comes in the disaster management category. Now, recently a powerful earthquake struck the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia's Far East. So, that is why this region is important, right? Now, the topics that the subtopic that we are going to discuss in this particular thing is, first say, what is the earthquake? Second, the reasons behind the earthquake. Third, circum-Pacific belt, this is the ring of fire. This is again very specific prelims and mains based topic, right? Third, why so many earthquakes occurs in this topic, so we can combine these two things as well for our particular mains understanding. Other active regions of the world, seismic zonation map on India, international cooperation for earthquake mitigation, and the earthquake mitigation measures in India, which comes into disaster management category as well. So, all these topics that we are going to cover. Now, let's start. First, what is earthquake? So, in general, you may understand that It is a sudden shaking or vibration on the Earth's surface caused by the sudden release of energy in the Earth's crust. This energy release generates seismic waves which travel through the Earth and causes the ground to shake. In general part, we may say that there are two kinds of belts are meeting, right? And the pressure is being building up. Now the subduction took place, things like this, right? So this sudden shaking and the vibration are taking, this is the earthquake part. Now the reasons behind the earthquake, the first one is tectonic plate movement, stress from colliding, sliding, separating plates causing fault departure. जिसको ही हम बोलते हैं subduction. This is the subduction process that I just discussed. Second, volcanic activity. Sometimes the magma movement of the or eruption causes shaking near the volcanoes and the eruption, the earthquake comes up. Third, human induced activities for say mining, dam reservoirs, fracking alter ground pressures or different things associated. Fourth, fault slippage. Stored strain energy is suddenly released when rocks snap back. And fifth, isostatic rebound. Land readjusts after removal of the glacial weight. So these all are the reasons of the possible earthquakes. Now, ring of fire. What is ring of fire? Look at this map. This fire right from New Zealand, right, to this Chile. So New Zealand, Australia is not there, but China is there, Russia part, Canada, US. This entire belt is called the ring of fire. This is a seismically active belt encircles almost the entire Pacific Ocean on its eastern side in the western coast of Americas. On the western side lies on the far east and the Oceania. It touches countries like United Nations, Mexico, Chile, Peru, New Zealand, Japan, Indonesia, Philippines, Japan, Russia. Again, this is again very specific prelims based information, and especially onwards 2025 prelims paper, we have understood that the nature of questions that used to be asked by the UPSC before 2013 has again started by the UPSC. So we need to understand what are those specific countries associated with the ring of fire. Now, the most seismically active zones. The circum-Pacific seismic belt, known as the ring of fire, accounts for 80% of the world's largest earthquakes. It includes largest ever earthquake, Chile, which magnitude of 9.5, and Alaska 9.2. All 23 earthquakes above magnitude 8.3 since 2000 has been occurred in this belt as well. This is a very important information, and it is 2000 kilometer long range from the Kamchatka Peninsula to northern Japan, includes the Kuril Islands, has experienced over 130 earthquakes, that too over the magnitudes of 7 higher since 1900. Volcanic activities. It contains most of the Earth's active volcanoes due to intense tectonic activity. Now, the question is that why are so many earthquakes occur in the circum-Pacific belt only? So, first is subduction zone, the point we just discussed at the very starting, the reason that the region hosts multiple subduction zones. Subduction, two places are like this, pressure is building, one goes like this. This is subduction. So, this region hosts multiple subduction zones where the Pacific plate, denser oceanic plate, that means sinks beneath the lighter continental face, subduction. Second, the process builds enormous stress at the place boundaries released at the earthquakes, and most subduction happens under the ocean, which is harder to monitor and often leads to the tsunamis post earthquake. That is why we witness that the tsunamis are being witnessed in the Japans. Second, frequent interaction of tectonic plates. The fast moving plates in the region lead to frequent stress accumulation and the release. Example, yes, Pacific plate versus Eurasian plate, Pacific plate versus North American plate. Third, length and the complexity of the fault lines. Fourth, say, long fault lines up to 2000 kilometers in the Kamchatka Japan cone can produce larger and even more frequent quakes. Now, the other active regions in the world. Very important thing. This is first the Alpide belt. It spans from Indonesia. For say this is the part. This is Indonesia area. This is clearly indicating from it here. So it spans from Indonesia through the Himalayas further to Afghanistan, Iran, Turkey, and is mostly overland, making it the second most earthquake prone zone. right? So Indonesia, Afghanistan, Iran and Turkey. This belt transfers some of the most heavily populated areas on the planet, which makes earthquakes in the region extremely badly. Now, second is mid-Atlantic ridge. This is mid-Atlantic ridge. This is again mid-Atlantic ridge. South America, Africa, the area between it is this is mid-Atlantic ridge, right? So it runs north to south like this. It runs north to south, which is visible over your screen as well, through the middle of the entire Atlantic Ocean, from the Arctic to the Antarctic region, making it the third most prominent seismic belt. This subduction zones in the middle of the ocean, deep underwater, which is far away, or I would say far deeper than the land. The zone produces a relatively moderate earthquake, and their impact is minimal because it is far distance or far away from the land itself. That is why the impact is limited. Now, with respect to the Indian scenario, that what are those earthquake prone regions in India? So in India, we have divided the entire Indian map in 4 categories: zone 2, 3, 4 and 5. 5 is which are most likely to have the earthquake. So zone 5, the entire northeast region, the Jammu Kashmir region, Jammu, the Himachal Pradesh region, the Uttarakhand part, and this Gujarat border part as well. Only this particular thing comes under the category of zone 5. Again, this information again with respect to your prelims only. Then afterwards zone 2, which is very safe, but we just likely need to focus a lot on the zone 5. We ought to have this thing in our mind, right? So with the help of the map, you can always create the things or the states which are covered under the zone 5. Now the international cooperation for the earthquake mitigation. First is Global Seismographic Network. It's a partnership between US Geological Survey and the other global institution. It provides real-time global earthquake monitoring and the data sharing between each other. Second, UNESCO's Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission. It runs the Pacific Tsunami Warning Systems and similar regional tsunami warning networks in the particular region as well, in collaboration with the respective countries. Third, Global Earthquake Model. It is a kind of open source tool for earthquake risk assessment and the hazard mapping. Now, the earthquake mitigation measures in India, right? So, the first is institutional measure. Again, I told you this topic is related with the disaster management. For say, National Disaster Management Authority provides guidelines for earthquake resistant construction, retrofitting and public awareness. Simultaneously, underneath it, there is a state disaster management authorities which assist in local implementation. Second, early warning and monitoring. Indian Meteorological Department and the International Center for Seismology monitor and issues the alerts. India is a part of regional seismic networks and shares data with the international agencies. Third, building codes and infrastructure. Bureau of India Standards has codes for designing earthquake resistant structure. The code is this. This code is again point to understand and point to remember as well, right? Enforcement in seismic zone 4 and 5 is being strengthened, especially in the urban planning. That is why you see that nowadays, even for say certain metropolitan regions, a specific design for the construction of the buildings has been designed by the development authorities. Fourth, retrofitting and the safety audits. For say vulnerable structures like schools, hospitals, public buildings are being retrofitted, right? Re-emerged, refitted. And NDMA encourages seismic microzonation for cities for better risk planning. That means they went on the part of at the very macro level that in this Delhi only, this is the macro level where the more chances of the earthquake are being taking place. So macro level within the particular district and within a particular state is being taking place as well. Capacity building and the public awareness, nationwide mock drills. What is the mock drills? When the civil public participate with the government regarding the aim and the objective of one particular thing, right? So this is a short part of the mock drills. Training for the first responders and the public education campaigns for say school teachers or other things like this. And this is again a practice question over your screen. and another practice question over the screen as well. Do write the question and do share the answers with us over the chat. I hope the topic that we covered with the help of today's DNO is understood by you. You covered well, you understood them well, and you have let us know the answers of the PYQs and the practice questions in the box as well. Keep watching daily news analysis. Keep studying. Thank you very much.